Hey there, we're going to show you today how to brew a Chemex. So if you aren't familiar, this is an awesome pour over option for home. A couple of the things I really love about it is that it's one piece of glass, so you don't necessarily need a separate cone and a decanter. That makes it really easy. It can also hold a little bit more liquid in the bottom, so it's really helpful if you're brewing coffee for not just yourself. The recipe we're going to do today will actually give you enough for two 12-ounce cups of coffee, so for you and a friend to share with. Let's touch on the filters. The filters are a little bit thicker than some other pour-over methods, but they are also, I find, a little bit easier to find out in the world. So some grocery stores, some retailers will carry Chemex filters. There are this type, which is square or sort of diamond shaped, and then there's some that are round, which don't stick up above the top. But the tricky thing is you're not going to want to unfold this piece of paper, right? It's a little bit confusing if you're not used to this. This is just a big square. So you're going to want to actually keep it folded how it comes, and you're going to push 3 of the pieces of paper to one side and 1 to the other. And that thicker side is meant to rest along this spout here. So the spout where you pour coffee, that 3 side with the thicker paper is going to help maintain structure so that it doesn't collapse into this chamber here where you're going to pour the coffee out later. If it does collapse in there, once you have, a bunch of coffee and water going on, you can have what's called a stalled brew. And that's one of the things a lot of people criticize the Chemex for, is that the likelihood of that is much higher. So we'll go over one quick hack today to help prevent a stalled brew. But first and foremost, make sure you put the thicker side of your paper filter right along the spout there. I'm going to go ahead and pre-wet my filter and preheat the rest of the Chemex. So my water's right at 200 degrees. Just pouring in there, making sure I'm rinsing out any papery taste. It's also going to heat the glass up so that I don't lose heat when I'm doing my actual pour over. This water is just going to get dumped, so this is not part of the brewing process, just going to give us a little rinse. All right, pop your cone back in there. And the recipe that we're going to be working with today is going to be 45 grams of coffee to 750 grams of water. We're going to do a bloom and then 2 subsequent pours to get the total brew volume. So I have 45 grams of this Bolivian coffee here that I've been loving right now. And I've already just ground that through. This is a Brasa Encore, so if you have one of those at home, we recommend somewhere between 20 and 22 for the grind size. So I did grind this ahead of time. So our fresh ground coffee here, and we're going to sprinkle that in and just making sure that we have a nice level brew bed. So give it a little gentle shake. That's going to level out the grounds. And now we're ready to start brewing. I'm just going to tare my scale so that it's reading 0. That way I'm only reading the weight of my water. And I'm going to start a timer as soon as I start pouring. So my first pour, the bloom, is going to be 135 grams of water. I'm going to start my timer as soon as I start pouring. Making sure that you saturate everything. You don't want any dry kind of islands floating in there. This is going to be a nice introduction of water to the coffee grounds. It's bubbling up. You can see a lot of those trapped gases from the roast are kind of bubbling up, very aromatic at this point. And then at 45 seconds, we'll do our next pour, and that's going to bring us to 450 grams. This is the time to do your little hack or workaround for this here to prevent a stalled brew. So I'm going to take a straw. Another thing that will work great is a chopstick if you have that at home. So go ahead and slide that in there. And that's going to help prevent the filter from collapsing into that spout. Just started my second pour. Again, just pouring kind of in nice circles, making sure I don't have any dry spots, any dry islands here. And I'm going right up to 450 grams. Perfect. We're going to let that draw down for a little bit. I'm waiting until about 2.5 minutes, and then it should be about halfway down, and I will hit it with the rest of the water, the final pour, and that's going to bring us to our total of 750 grams. And getting ready to do our final pour here. I'm going to start actually on the outside and work my way in, just making sure I rinse down anything that's gotten stuck to the upper edge of the filter. And then I'm just going to be pouring, just getting to that total amount, 750 grams. Beautiful. Alrighty, and now all we have to do is wait for our coffee to finish. So our drawdown is almost complete. You will have a longer kind of brew time overall with a Chemex, and that has to do with the thickness of the paper filter. So generally we're going to see around 4.5 to 5 minute brew time. And this one looks like it will finish right around 4.5 minutes when all of our water is kind of drained through the nice bed of coffee. So as soon as that's done, we're going to pop this filter out and then we can serve. Beautiful. Right. And there you have it. That's how to brew a Chemex. Give it a nice swirl to mix, and then you're ready to pour. Cheers.